Hello and welcome to episode number 288 of the Launch Lounge podcast. In today's episode, you'll discover the sneaky ways Meta is sabotaging your ad targeting with Advantage Plus audiences and exactly how to fight back. I'm going to show you why your leads might be getting cheaper, but your sales are getting worse, and the 3 critical settings you need to check right now to stop Meta from hijacking your campaigns. So stay tuned. I love it so much when I get emails from you guys. On the last episode, I asked you to take a selfie and post it on social media, tag me at _launch_lounge and show me where you're listening. I would love to see your surroundings in your office, on the couch, with a dog, at the gym. Where are you listening? I'd love to see that. Post it on Insta and tag me or email it to podcast@thelaunchlounge.com. And you're welcome to also email me any of your advertising or launch questions. I love answering those. And today's episode comes from one of our listeners. Daniel Rolston and his lovely wife, Natalie, used to be clients of ours. We worked with them a couple of years ago. And you can check out Daniel and Natalie at nataliewalton.com. Natalie does beautiful, beautiful work. And so thank you, Daniel, for sending this question in. I appreciate it. And if you're sitting there and you have a similar question, please send it to me. I'd love to answer it here on the show when I can answer your question. So many other people benefit from that as well, because if you're wondering about it, then there's probably 10 other people who are also sitting there going, I wish I knew how to do this, or I wish I knew the answer to this. So email me, podcast@thelaunchlounge.com. Now, Daniel's email. Daniel sent me this. Hi, Salome. I hope you're well. Natalie and I still tune into the podcast from time to time. Thanks for all the great content. Listen, I just noticed that with Advantage Plus audience and other features in inverted commas, I'm losing control over audience targeting. Specifically, our ads are being shown to older and older people, not really our buyers. It has definitely gotten worse over the last year or so. I've attached a graphic here to show the skewing to 65 plus, and I can tell you it's definitely skewing to 65 plus. Our target buyer is 25 to 45. Would you consider doing a podcast on this issue and any workarounds, please? Take care, Daniel. Well, firstly, I want to say thank you, Daniel, for sending me this wonderful question. This is a question that when I read it, I was like, oh, duh, I should have talked about this. I should have been talking about this. And the reason I haven't talked about this is because I felt like I talked about this at length about a year ago, right? When this just started happening. I spoke about this at length. What happened to me about a year ago, a little bit more than a year, beginning of 2024, is I went into my ad account and started setting up a list building campaign. And it was the first time in a long time that I'd been in the account, because usually my team runs the ads. But I went in there because I wanted to play around with some things. And at the time, I was also re-recording some ads training. And so it was good for me to be in there and play with it and make sure I'm on top of which buttons goes where. And I set up just a plain list building ad. And I let it run for a few days. And then when I came back to check the results, I was like, what on this planet is happening here, right? Because I was paying through my nose for leads. The lead cost was really super high. But the front end costs, like the CPM, the cost per 1,000 impressions, was really low. And the click-through rates was really low. My landing pages weren't converting as much as I wanted them to. And I was just like, what is going on here? Something is weird. And then I did a breakdown of who my ad was reaching. And I noticed that my ad was being run half of the targeting was women and the other half men. Now, listen, whenever I set up ads, I just target women, right? No offense to the guys. It's not because I don't want you on my list. It's because I'm not a bro marketer. And if I don't remove the bros from my targeting, I get all the bros commenting. And I get a bunch of guys who's really disappointed in my more feminine style of marketing because they like the bros. And so I am very happy for them to go and work with the guy who's, posing in front of the jet with the fancy car and the watch and all the things. That's not me. And the only way I can steer clear of that values is by just excluding the dudes. Now, that doesn't mean I don't want to work with men. I love working with men. I love having men in my audience. And somehow the right men still find me. So, that's magic. But I did not want my ads to run to both men and women. And it was weird for me because I knew I selected women when I set it up. The next thing that was weird was the age range. My age range is also between 35 and 55. And my ads were running to 55 to 65-year-olds, 65 pluses. Again, weird. And then I filtered by country. And I noticed that my ad was mostly getting placed in third world countries. Now, that's wonderful if Meta thinks that somebody is going to opt in for an ads training on there. But to be honest, I've never really had any clients from third world countries other than South Africa, which is where I'm from, which is, they like me. And I do run ads in South Africa as well, but not any other third world countries. And I welcome anyone from a third world country to join my list, but they kind of have to find it the same way the dudes do, right? So I looked at this and I went, what on this planet is going on here? And I saw that it was because Meta had pushed me back into Advantage Plus targeting. Now, I know for sure that I selected that I did not want Advantage Plus targeting, but then somehow they'd managed to push me back into it. And it actually took me setting up the ad a few times before I was able to figure out all the things that I have to do to override every single gate that Meta wants me to jump through, or to get over every single hurdle that they want me to jump over, to not default back into Advantage Plus targeting. And so about a year ago, I wrote a blog post about this. And we are going to link to the blog post, because in this blog post, I explained everything that I changed in terms of the settings on my account so that Advantage Plus never comes near my account. Now, this was a year ago. And in the meantime, I will say Advantage Plus has gotten better. But there are still certain days and certain conditions under which you should never, ever, ever use Advantage Plus. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you want to go through that blog post, it's on my site. We'll link to it from the show notes. It's called Meta Update: Preparing Your Account for Advantage Plus Audiences. And in that post, I walk you through step by step how to change your advertising settings, which is important because otherwise Meta just shows your ads to people in all countries, all ages, and all genders. And how the algorithm works is it optimizes for the first engagers. So somebody who stops the scroll, then it optimizes for more people like that to stop the scroll. And then when somebody clicks on the ad, let's say to read the copy, then it optimizes for more people like that. And so once that algorithm gets going somewhere where you don't want it to go, there's no stopping it, okay? But that's not all you have to do. You also have to check as you set up your account that they're not switching you to Advantage Plus targeting as their default setting. It is their default setting, and you have to check a box to say that you do not want Advantage Plus. Even after you check that box once, there'll be more places where they ask if you want Advantage Plus, or they'll put big banners up telling you have to move to Advantage Plus because it'll get you 90% more leads or something like that. And then in other places, they make you check a box again, but they kind of hide that box next to a giant recommendation to use Advantage Plus. So they're pulling every trick in the book to try to get us to default back to Advantage Plus. And why? Because then their AI systems is working to find the cheapest results for us, right? So be on the lookout for all these sneaky ways that they try to move you to Advantage Plus. And then the next thing you can do is to go into your ad account and set up all of your saved audiences from scratch. because they have changed your saved audiences, and your saved audiences are now Advantage Plus audiences. So do that. So here's a few key things to look out for when it comes to Advantage Plus. The first thing that is the reason why I say course creators should steer clear of Advantage Plus is because of the loss of audience control. If you're testing a new funnel, or if you're running a new lead magnet, or a new webinar, or a new evergreen webinar, you need to have tighter control of who sees your audience so that you can validate it, right? Advantage Plus will find cheap conversions or cheap clicks or cheap leads, but they might not be high quality leads and they might not be aligned with your offer. So be aware of that. You can in some niches we're seeing ridiculously low lead costs, like lower than what we've seen in 5 years. But I always question the quality of those leads when they come from an Advantage Plus audience. So always start with manual targeting first. And once you've validated your audiences and your funnel is fully optimized, you know that you have got every little dial dialed in on your funnel. Then you can start testing Advantage Plus audiences for scale. Right? So it's a scale strategy. It's not an iteration strategy. It's not an optimization strategy. The second thing I've just mentioned, I've just already touched on it, is the leads may be cheaper, but the quality is lower. So Advantage Plus audience targeting is automatically a lot broader, right? I remember the days when we used to say you have to have at least 1 million people in your audience, in your target audience. That's a good size for a cold audience. And then I remember the days when we said you have to have at least 10 million people in your cold audiences. That's a good size. Nowadays, if you can get to 500 million or more, that's a good cold audience, right? But if you're really dialing in your targeting, it's unlikely you're going to get to 500,000. Now, what Advantage Plus does is it just opens it up. It's literally like almost like neutral targeting. It's just putting your creative out there into the interwebs and seeing what happens. And whoever clicks first, that then optimizes for whoever that person was to show the ad to more people like that. So freebie hunters and tire kickers, there's no way you can eliminate them anymore, right? Your ads are going to be put in front of everybody. So if you're building a list or you're filling a webinar, this can mean that you're going to get more unsubscribes once they're on your list. You're going to get more no-shows. Your webinar show-up rate will go down, or you're going to get low sales conversion because you just didn't end up with leads who are serious about buying your course, which, comes back to my point about showing ads to people in third world countries. Very few of them are about to buy a Facebook ads course that costs $1,000 or more. And I am totally open to being wrong about that, but I am not spending my money on a market that is not necessarily proven to be where my hot leads are. Okay. So watch your back-end metrics, your webinar attendance, your email engagement, your purchases, not just your cost per lead. Cost per lead is just one number that we have to pay attention to. The third thing is your tests start to get muddier when you use Advantage Plus, because the way that it works is it optimizes on the actions that people take on the platform. If you've been around for a while, you'll remember one of the most powerful things about Facebook ads was the pixel, right? The pixel was on pages, and the pixel would be on your landing page, and the pixel would be on your thank you page, and we'd set up our custom conversions. And our custom conversions basically told Meta that once somebody lands on our thank you page, they are a lead, and we want the algorithm to identify those people who become leads, so people who land on our thank you page, and then go and find us more people like that. So the algorithm learned who to put our ad in front of based on the action, based on who landed on our thank you pages. Then when Apple brought in iOS, the pixel became blind, and now Meta has to optimize some other way. So what do? They optimize for those first actions that people take on your ad. Now, like I say, if you get the wrong person who starts clicking on your ads, that then optimizes and that spirals and that creates a snowball effect. And if you're doing split testing and you have Advantage Plus audiences in that split test, you don't really know who you're targeting because one ad might optimize for one group of people and another ad might optimize for a completely different group of people. And there's no way you know. So you won't end up with an apples to apples comparison that you get from having more control over your targeting. So use consistent manual audiences for testing and use Advantage Plus for scaling once you have some proven creative winners, right? Once you know your creative calls out your right ideal customer and your creative is going to do the heavy lifting for making sure that your ad is strikes that nerve, hits that pain point, shows that proven benefit to your ideal customer, then just stick to manual targeting. The next one, retargeting may be getting diluted. When we set up our retargeting audiences, so let's say you're in the middle of a live launch and your cart is now open. And now you want to run cart open ads. You want to announce to your warm audience that your cart is now open. And you set up your audience to include everyone on your email list, everyone who's engaged with you on your website, everyone who's engaged with you on Instagram, everyone who's engaged with you on Facebook. That's your warm audience. You're running your cart open ads to those people. If that audience has the Advantage Plus checkbox, which means you're saying, I want to target these people, but I'm okay with Meta expanding the audience into Advantage Plus, it's no longer showing your ad to those people. It'll show your ad to complete strangers. Now, you don't ever want to run a cart open ad to complete strangers because, ew, that's like trying to be, asking someone to marry you at a bar. You just don't do that. So don't do that. So don't use Advantage Plus when you're retargeting because you're just going to put the wrong message in front of the wrong people and you're not going to reach your warm audiences. The last little thing that I want you to look out for and that I want you to pay close attention to is the fact that creative quality matters more today than it has ever mattered. With Advantage Plus audience being so broad and the optimization being on these top of funnel actions, these first actions people take. Did they stop to look at your ad? Did they click to read the copy? Did they click to go to the landing page? Those are the top of funnel actions. You have to be sure that your creative calls out your ideal customer or speaks to your ideal customer's pain or their desires instantly. You need strong hooks, you need scroll stopping visuals, and you need clear messaging that calls in your ideal person. So tailor your creative to your ideal customer's psychographic identity, not just features of your product, not just features of your lead magnet, not features of your course. Something like, if you've tried X and you're ready for Y, there's just so many examples. I like just go into ChatGPT, give it your landing page copy and say, give me a strong hook that I can put on my ad copy or on my ad image, and use images and videos that shows your ideal customer. Remember, they're sitting there they're not looking for your face. They're looking for someone that is doing or being who they aspire to be, right? So if I run ads about podcasting, I might have a picture of a 35-year-old female podcasting, and that will get their attention, okay? When does Advantage Plus work really well? It works really well when you have a very high volume, proven funnel, right? So like a lead magnet that you've been running for forever, like my 5-day video training, Facebook ads training that I've been running for forever, that one runs on Advantage Plus now. My 10K guide, that one runs on Advantage Plus. But the quiz, so those are the 3 main lead magnets that I have on my website. The quiz, absolutely not. That one has not seen enough volume. Plus, there's other reasons why I don't run ads to quizzes, which I've spoken about on the podcast as well. If you just search quiz on my website, you'll find a lot of detail about why you shouldn't run ads to quizzes. All right. Advantage Plus also works well if you want to scale. right? If you have an evergreen webinar that's been optimized to within an inch of its life and you want to scale it, then you start playing around with Advantage Plus or a lead magnet as well. And it works really well when you have a variety of different high converting creatives. So not just one or two. You need to be feeding the meta library with a large chunk of creative. So what I do is I usually create 10 images, 10 videos, and 10 different copy options with 10 different headlines. And then in the beginning, I set that up as dynamic creative ads so that I can very quickly figure out which ones are my winners and which ones in combination are my winners. And then I have about 1 million different variations I can create ads with, and those you can run with Advantage Plus. And then don't use Advantage Plus if you're optimizing for purchases or for sales, just because it's you are not running this to a cold audience. If you're a course creator, if you have a Shopify business, if you have an e-commerce business, by all means, that's what you're doing, do that. But us course creators, we don't run purchase conversion ads to cold audiences unless you're running a $7 ad or one of those $7 or $47 offers. Here's the thing. Meta wants you to think that their AI knows better than you do about who your ideal customer is. But here's what I know. You've built your business by understanding your people deeply, by creating solutions that transforms lives, and by connecting with the right humans who need what you have to offer. Don't let an algorithm dilute that connection. Take back control of your targeting, protect the quality of your audience, and remember, you're not just building a list, you're building a freedom empire filled with the exact people you're meant to serve. Your ideal customers are out there waiting for you. Please make sure Meta is actually showing your ads to those people, not just to anyone with a pulse and a credit card. This Tuesday, we're asking the question, which social media platforms should you really be on right now? AI is changing the landscape of how our ideal customers consume information and how they build trust with us. Trust in the eye of the consumer is going down. And if you're not posting social media content that builds trust in the right places, you could find yourself with a very cold audience, not knowing why they're not buying right now, or why they're abandoning your list, or not responding to your engagement calls. So tune in on Tuesday to find out which social media platforms should you really be on right now. Bye. Before you go, if today's episode helped you, imagine how many more lives could be transformed if other creators, coaches, and experts found these strategies too. Your shares and reviews help more course creators discover how to get their knowledge out into the world. Please take a moment to rate the show and leave a quick review. When you do, we get to reach more people and we make a bigger impact together. Because when more people who help people succeed, the world becomes a better place. Thank you.